Okay. Oh, hello, hello. I hope it's recording. I don't know. Is yeah, it's live on Facebook. It says it is. Okay, good. Hey everyone. I'm here talking about full moon coming up on Sunday at 4 p.m., 4-ish p.m. I'll look at the exact time in a minute. But I'm trying to be faithful about coming on for at least every new and full moon because that's a promise I've made to myself and my astrology and you guys. So here I am. And it is, what's today? Friday at 10:23 a.m. I like the number 23, so good. Okay, well, the full moon is in Aries, and Aries is the warrior. So that's going to be a theme for this full moon. And I'm going to show you the chart because we're going to start with today because fun things have been happening over the last week. It's been rough. I mean, we had Saturn square the sun square Saturn, which Saturn rules time and work, and the sun is how you show up in the world. So it could feel like a lot of work this week and a lot of just like maybe being dragged down a bit, like slow down. We have to do things right and the right way. And it's almost like your dad telling you to go clean your room. That's kind of what this last week felt like, and the energy that was involved in this last week. Another thing we have going on today is now the sun squaring Pluto. Let me just go ahead and go to the chart because I really believe that we should be looking at the chart when I talk about it. There's a lot of uh, astrology out there that just kind of preaches and blah 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 without actually showing you why we get this and what's going on. So that's kind of my thing is it looks crazy and it is. I mean, it's a lot of math, a lot of geometry, a lot of symbolism, but my job is to interpret it for you. However, I am going to show you as well because I think it's important. So this is the chart and you can see all the lines and all the little symbols and all of that. And I'm going to explain what's going on here. First, I need to get my little pen out. I need to be able to draw on this stuff. I like to draw. That's part of the fun. So today we have right here, where's my spotlight? This is the sun. This little circle with a dot in the middle. If you look at petroglyphs from any time in ancient history, the sun is usually depicted like this. So that's why it's a symbol in astrology for the sun. And there are 30 degrees in every sign. It's very much like a month. That's why there's 30 degrees of Libra, 30 degrees of Scorpio. Right now we're in Libra season. The sun is in Libra. And that means whenever the sun is up in the sky, it's against the constellation of Libra. Now, when you actually look at the astronomy of it, it's a little off, but the timekeeping, the calendar, if you will, the sun is in Libra. It's just like the sun is in Aries when we move into spring. That's the spring equinox. And then when the sun is in Libra, it's opposite, right? It's going into fall, autumn. So that actually brings me to why this full moon is so crazy. Actually, no, this is Sunday. Let me go to it right now. So no, the sun is starting to square Pluto today. It's at 18 degrees right now. But the more important thing about today, period, is that Mercury is moving into shadow. That's a whole other subject. Mercury goes retrograde on Halloween. And Mercury is our minds. It's the way we think. It's the way we communicate. It's all of those principles. So it's very much linked to social media and linked to, let me think of some other examples. I mean, it's the reason that people go, oh my gosh, my car broke down and my laptop broke and all that, blah, 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 blah. But that doesn't necessarily mean that's what Mercury retrograde does, like no matter what. That's not the purpose of Mercury retrograde as far as the symbolism goes. The purpose of a retrograde with any planet is to draw the energy in and make it more internal and to really turn it inwards. You're not really, you're thinking about what you feel on the inside. It's in Scorpio, so we're really starting to look at the deeper parts of ourselves with our minds. This is intellectual. This is examining. Mercury examines. It does rule Virgo. It is discerning. It also rules Gemini. So we have these things going on. We're looking at the deeper parts of ourselves. Scorpio is how we transform as an individual. It is our deepest desires. It's sexuality. It is Scorpio rules the darker things in life, if you will. And that is definitely not negative. It exists in this reality for a reason. So today it hit 11 degrees, Mercury did, of Scorpio. And the reason we say it's in shadow is because what happens is Mercury moves along every day till it gets to right here. And that's when it goes retrograde. When it goes retrograde, it will move backwards in the zodiac until it reaches 11 degrees, and that's when it will turn direct again. So this is territory that it will touch starting today on the retrograde. I hope that makes sense. They call it the retrograde shadow. And that just means, it's like any shadow. You could see during the eclipse, I thought it was so cool. You could see the shadow rushing. We were on the beach in South Carolina. And when the moon started to move in front of the sun, the shadow on the beach was chasing us, basically. It was moving so fast. So that's kind of the idea, is like the shadow reaches you before the actual event reaches you, So you start to see the effects of it starting now, or feel the effects of it, if you will. Whatever you want to say. Whatever. That's kind of Mercury retrograde. Whatever. I'm thinking about me, thinking about my feelings, my deepest desires and darkest secrets. Scorpio is going to feature prominently from here until, I don't think Mercury moves out of Scorpio until December 9th, I think is when. So we're going to have a lot of Scorpio going on, which is fine. There's no outer planets there. That's been done. The outer planets in Scorpio moved on out last year. So it's kind of nice. So this Scorpio is kind of the don't forget energy, because the inner planets move faster, so it's just like a touching of it, But the fact that Mercury retrograde will be in Scorpio is more of a magnifying glass. So it's I like to say, remember the last couple of years. Like, don't forget all the lessons you've learned as far as you're hiding yourself, or maybe pushing your feelings down. We're not doing that anymore. And Mercury retrograde is here to remind you of that. So whenever your car does break down, or your laptop does go on the fritz, or maybe you send an email to someone complaining about them that you meant to send to a friend, and instead you send it to the person you're complaining about, that's a very Mercury retrograde thing. Those events are all meant to slow you down and make you think about what you're doing with your life, make you think about whatever subject Mercury is in. This Scorpio: secrets, sex, relationship, other people's money, business partnerships. Like, we could go on and on with that. But I'm not going to spend my time there, because we're not even in Mercury retrograde yet. Just hit 11 degrees. We're in the shadow. I just wanted to tell everyone. And then tomorrow, this is leading up to the full moon. So we're not even at the full moon yet. I'm just explaining all the things leading up to it. Tomorrow, Venus opposes Uranus. We just had Mercury opposite of Uranus. And the reason I say opposite, here's another little teaching thing we got going on here. Everything in astrology works on polarities, opposites. So if you're talking about one sign, you can automatically talk about the opposite sign, because they are two sides to the same coin. So let me draw here. Right there. That's what's going on. And this is today's chart, so it's not exact today, but it's exact tomorrow. Scorpio is opposite of Taurus, and Venus is in Scorpio. More Scorpio. Scorpio deals with the depth, the shadow, secrets. Intensity, that's another word you can bring in with Scorpio. Intense transformation. The reason being is because all of the stuff that we keep down in our gut, like we keep down here, maybe pushed down, whenever it gets brought up to the surface, that will transform you as a person. It will transform your reality. It transforms your life. You change when you start to dive deep into who you are as a person, and that's Scorpio. Venus, the planet, its function is what we value and how we love. And so when that moves into Scorpio, Scorpio is like an adjective, right? The signs are like how it happens, how you do it. The planets are what you're doing. We are valuing things in an intense way, maybe looking a little more deeply at our values. And interestingly enough, Uranus and Taurus over here, the function of Uranus is revolution and change and almost like shock. And it's a lot of it's lightning, a lot of flipping the script energy, So if Scorpio is intensity and really merging with others and sexuality, Taurus is how I value myself. Taurus is self-worth, right? So when you get these two things opposite each other, it's almost like full moon a little bit. You're shining a light on this scorpionic stuff inside. It's like, I really value this part of my sexuality. I really value this. And it's opposite of Uranus, which is like, oh no, I'm changing, basically. This is a very big, I am changing. My values are changing. And you can see it right now. It really makes you aware of the stuff inside that's driving your outside, that's driving your life right now. What do I value the most? This is what I value intensely. This is the stuff that I keep to myself that I value, And this can manifest as some shocking events in relationships. Obviously, Venus is relationship. Some unabashed change of our self-worth is going to trigger our intensity in relationships, It's going to make you want different things. It's going to make you desire different things. You may be feeling that anyway. Another thing it could be, Scorpio, is death and rebirth, you know? So you could be having some death of old ways, some death in whatever area of your life, you know, the death of a business, the death of something, you know, you're putting it away, you know, realizing that that's the old, those are the leaves that are crumbling and dying and drying and going away for new growth. This is very much new growth. And that is tomorrow at like 4 is the exact time, but it's already pretty much opposite of it. It's within a couple of degrees. So we're going to say Venus is opposite of Uranus right now as well. So this is also new people coming into your life, you know, new information, especially with Mercury still in. It could be even information that you're realizing about yourself, you know, maybe not information from the outside, but it could be internal messages that you're receiving. And with Scorpio involved, these are never things that are like surface, you know, like, oh, I like diamonds instead of amethyst now or something like that. This is more like, you know, these values are deeply rooted in this root chakra stuff. So that's just leading up to the full moon. And let me just go ahead and go to the full moon now. Erase my little purple line. And recently, full moon in Aries. Here we go. All right, this is what the chart looks like for the full moon in Aries. As we can see, Aries down here, that's the first sign of the zodiac. That's the spring. These are called the angles as well. Aries, Libra, Capricorn, Cancer. I think I talked about that during the new moon in Libra. And the angles are very, they're cardinal, so they're action oriented. They reach out, they move. They are reality, in my opinion. The angles really represent reality to me. Aries is my identity. Cancer is my needs, my deepest needs. Libra is how I balance my needs in my identity against others and how I make that okay. And then Capricorn is outer needs, outer world, outer boundaries, time, reality. This is reality, okay? So what we have here is the sun at 20 degrees of Libra, the moon at 20 degrees of Aries. Let me get my little drawing out. Oh, I need a different. We're going to use red because it's Aries. So here we go. Wait, no. We'll do this with arrows. I like the arrows. Yeah, that's what we're looking at. And then, ooh, here we go. Here we go now. Well, there's obviously nothing at 20 degrees of Cancer, but the North Node is at 12 degrees of Cancer. So it's not like we don't have anything in Cancer. So this is the main game we got going. I could probably erase that half of the arrow because it's really just these three things going on. Boom, boom. That's really what we got going on there. Okay, I'm going to start with the actual full moon itself in Aries. This is passion, and this is the culmination of, I like to say it's a 6-month thing. So like we're talking 6 months ago during the spring when there was a new moon in Aries. That's when this would have started, this cycle. The moon moves around until it goes full in Aries, right? And then you see the fruits of your labor. And when you're talking about Aries, you're talking about your ego. You're talking about your place in this world, your identity, who you are. So we've been working on that for the last 6 months, pretty much, since the new moon in Aries, since the spring. And so now it's the fall, and now it's like we're looking at it and we're going, how did this go? What am I harvesting? And a lot of it will bring out passions because you'll realize the sun's in Libra that other people outer relationships have triggered you in certain ways, and that could be by lack, and it could be by too much. It could be by a lot of different things, you know. Maybe people aren't respecting your boundaries. Maybe you have the perfect relationship and you realize that's changing your identity. You know, maybe you've met someone, maybe you have no one in your life. And I'm just speaking about romantic relationships. This could be family, this could be friends. Libra really deals with relationship in general, not just romantic. But a lot of times, because that is the easiest thing to point at, and that is I think that's the relationship that takes the most precedence in our life, oftentimes, is our romantic relationships, depending on who you are. That's why it's what we point at for Libra. It really does in ancient astrology or traditional astrology rule marriage and love. So when the full moon comes around to Aries, I mean, you can get passionate about all this stuff. You know, the passions really run high. Moon is our emotions. And so these things are projecting onto one another. You know, who am I? How do I belong in this world? Who are you? What are you doing in my life? Or, hey, I know you. I'm so glad you're in my life. You know, ooh, that makes me change. Change, lots of change. And then let's go to Pluto at 20 degrees of Capricorn. This is exactly a square. And a square in astrology is creative tension. Um, it really pulls on these things. It really adds a different twist to this full moon. And in my opinion, all of this is my opinion. I don't know why I keep saying that. Pluto in Capricorn is the transformation of boundaries, the transformation of time, and the transformation of rules and foundations. We are climbing the mountain a little differently day by day. Day by day, we are stepping up onto a new level with our power, with the way we see the world. The way the outside world is changing, you know? And so in my, God, why do I keep saying in my opinion? I'm going to blame that on Mercury retrograde shadow because it's easy. I see this as a full moon that will, you're not going to be able to hold back some deeply held beliefs, some deeply felt desires are going to not be ignored during this full moon, and you'll act on them. I mean, I guess you could say, thank goodness we have Mars in Libra, because that kind of is like, Mars doesn't really like being in Libra. It kind of makes it like, oh, I have to play fair. Mars is ego. Mars rules Aries. So we have to look at that too. The ruler of Aries is in Libra with the sun. So that's going to pull on us a little bit too. Like, make sure and not rock the boat too much, you know? But do not be surprised if your passions run high this weekend. This is also, I mean, you could look at this as kind of a dangerous thing physically. Mars is the physical body, Aries is the physical body. So maybe don't do anything crazy, you know. But there's also one other thing that's going on with this, and it's, let me get a different color. Jupiter. Oh, Jupiter. Jupiter is the big planet. Jupiter is in a trine to this full moon. And a trine, you see it's exactly at 20 degrees as well. It's connected. There are so many 20-degree points, like boom, boom, boom. When I see this, I cannot help but look at reality as some sort of computer program sometimes. I mean, obviously I'm looking at a computer program, but you see all of these 20-degree points, and you're like, wow, okay, well, I must pay attention. At least I do. And I know some people don't. It doesn't bother me when people don't believe in astrology. It really doesn't. That's their thing. And this is mine. And I've found that it makes sense. Jupiter expands. Jupiter searches for truth. Jupiter wants to learn more, know more. Jupiter knows what it believes. Jupiter is the expansive, optimistic planet. And a trine very much has the same energy, the geometry of it. It's supportive. It's like, yeah. So Jupiter in Sagittarius is like, yes, let's make that passion bigger. Let's do it more. Bigger full moon, big hunter's moon. That's what Jupiter's doing, like more, 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 more. Yeah. And in Sagittarius, Jupiter's at home. Jupiter loves Sagittarius. It rules Sagittarius. It's the same principles working with each other. So Jupiter's like coasting, right? Jupiter's like, yeah, it's direct now. It will not go retrograde in Capricorn. I mean, in Sagittarius again, I don't believe. So this is kind of like finishing out its own cycle with Neptune. It's moving out of a square with Neptune. So in a way, it's good because it's a benefic. It's like, yeah, good feelings, good passions. I mean, this could be good sexually. I mean, especially with Venus and Mercury in Scorpio. It could also make you act out sexually with someone you shouldn't, right? Too much of a good thing. And that's another thing. Like when I say it's physically dangerous, this is like extra, like, yeah, do it, jump, like, whoa, okay, be careful. But it's good if you want to make stuff happen. The thing I will say about that is if you want to make something happen, make sure you really want it. Because a lot of this energy is a stamp of approval from Pluto's like, all right, this is what you want? You sure? Okay. Then let it be so. This is do what thou wilt energy. And so don't have buyer's remorse. That's what I'm going to say about that. This is very much a buyer's remorse kind of thing. Like, be centered. Make sure you are in your heart. I think that Mars in Libra is something good to pull on right now because it's opposite Chiron. We're dealing with some healing energy here, right? I mean, it's not exact, but it'll help balance, just, I think, really remember balance, pull in that fair, balanced, justice energy. Look to Jupiter for philosophy, for deeper meaning. Instead of the, yeah, jump, first consult all of your sage advice that you can, take the advice, listen to the advice. That's going to be a good way to channel this passionate full moon. I mean, let me see if I can find it. I saw and this is really annoying here we go. This on Instagram, a lot of spiritual advice, like this says, magical full moon energy, expect miracles, real love, and magical moon vibes. I don't know if they know anything about astrology. This is square Pluto. This is expect desires, deep desires to come up and trigger you. And so I don't see this as like the easiest full moon. I see that it can be with Jupiter trine it, but it can also be too much of this passion, too much of this, I want it. Fall back on Mars and Libra. What do I need in my life, though? What is fair for everyone? If you feel like you might want to cheat on your significant other, tell them first. Don't just do it during this full moon. Explain your desire, There's no need for things like that because Scorpio gets real secretive. But Pluto is stepping into your power right now. Pluto in Capricorn, this is the right way to climb the mountain. This is, even transforming the damn mountain, like terraforming Mars, right? This is Pluto in Capricorn. So we're changing the landscape. Oh, and that brings me to this quote that I found that really explains it to me. It explains from here on out. It explains till January, in my opinion, because this is what we're really, after this, Libra, we're getting into Scorpio. Scorpio, Sagittarius, and Capricorn. Man, that's some deep stuff here, right? So let me show you the quote. Here it is. Oh, I need to erase my stuff. and get my mouse out. Here we go. I guess it's showing it. Ah, yeah, this quote by Buckminster Fuller, who is a mathematician and a brilliant one. And this quote really struck me. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. Remember, I said that all the cardinal signs, the angles, are reality. To change something, Pluto, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. So this full moon really can be summed up as, like really realizing that you're building a new life, a new reality for yourself. And if something isn't in alignment with that, you can take action to change it. But keep in mind, we need to take action in a centered, kind Libra way. Like you can get what you want and still make it fair and still know how to make these moves. This is a chess game. So yeah, I guess the full moon will bring out passions in people. You might have a lot of that, so be aware of it. I guess that's my message for this, because Aries is passionate. Aries is fire, cardinal fire. It creates, right? So do something creative with your time that will help build your reality in the way you want and not pull you back down to the shadow of Pluto and Capricorn, which is maybe power dynamics, power moves that aren't healthy. You don't want to start fights with people. If you have a disagreement with your significant other, take a look at why during this full moon. Before you act, try anyway to take a look at why. Use the Mercury shadow period. We're going into this internal thought process. So you can really harness these energies, and whether or not you believe it makes you do that or not, I'm here to tell you that this is what you can be doing to help. This is a good area to focus on when the leaves are starting to turn, Focus on who you're going to spend your winter with. Focus on how is Christmas going to be with your family? Like, are you building these relationships? Are you cutting them off? Should you? Should you maybe call your sister who you haven't talked to in years? Or, these are all questions we can be asking ourselves right now. What about my identity? What do I need from others? What am I giving to others? Of myself, Aries. So you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. I like that. We often look at people in power and like maybe romanticize it, but that is not the type of power you want. Where am I getting this? I think I heard it. It may have been K. Pacha that said it. And he is my teacher, which makes sense. But really, power is doing your will. What is your will? And your will doesn't have to be pushing others down. It doesn't have to be getting above others. Doing your will is simply living how you want to live. That's real power, and we can see just how badly power can go when you look at the current political climate and everything going on with that. And we give our power to those people, like, what are you doing? Why are we voting for this? And I don't mean one side or the other. I mean all of it. Why have we voted for this government, left and right? I don't get it. I don't really like any of it, So, I think that's another good message, is like what we really want in life, that is reflected in things like government. Are you really trying to change the existing model? Are you building a new model? We are responsible for what's going on in our country. We are responsible. We're really a world society now. It's, we get products from all different countries, and we are all interconnected. And if we aren't trying to be our highest good as a human, we're not going to be in the utopia that is absolutely possible. But that requires you to work on yourself. And that's why I think astrology is so great. And that's why I think anything that helps you examine yourself is so great. So for the full moon in Aries, make sure you're showing up with your creative fire and you're honoring it. And you're honoring who you are. And also balancing that with the outside reality, the foundations you have, the rules, the boundaries, Pluto. We're transforming all that anyway, and balancing it with others. And this fairness and this love, you know? And then use the Jupiter and Sagittarius to find something new, a new philosophy. Maybe realize these new beliefs that have come in, these new desires, new, maybe even a new optimism, you know? And then the Venus and Mercury and Scorpio opposite Uranus and Taurus is like, dig deep. Dig deep into your bad habits, dig deep into your shadow, and harness this to change it, you know? Okay. Well, I think that might be it. And I hope that you all have a good weekend, a good full moon in Aries. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. So I'm gonna get off here. Oh, yes, I do. I'll be at the Gypsy Gallery at Mojo Pub on October 20th at 4 p.m. I'm going to do little mini sessions, and I can tell you where things like this are affecting your chart specifically. For instance, the full moon in Aries is happening in my career sector, and I'm finding some culminations there, and I love it. I'm finding some new trust in myself. I mean, Aries trusts itself because Aries just acts, you know? So, and Libra is my home life. And that axis is really lit up for me right now. And I love that. So I can tell you where things are happening in your own life, like more than just a collective sort of thing. And those are like 10 or 15-minute sessions that I'm doing. But I'll also have gift certificates on sale there for cheaper than I usually do readings. And then October 23rd, I'm giving a 2-hour talk at Pura Vida Healing Arts in Irondale. It's on Grantsville Road. And it's about the Pluto-Saturn conjunction in Capricorn, cardinal Earth, reality, transforming reality. My phone's making all sorts of noise. I'm sorry. And that will be October 23rd, I think at 6:30 p.m. I'll check. I've posted the links on my page. If you want to know more about your own chart and schedule a reading with me, please get in touch, message me, email me. I'm Ecstatic Astrology everywhere. I think maybe on Twitter I'm Ecstatic Astro, but you can find me under ecstaticastrology@gmail.com, ecstaticastrology.com, facebook.com/ecstaticastrology. I'll just keep going. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for viewing. I appreciate every comment I get. I hope it sheds any light onto the energies right now. And may the stars be with you.